What does Ripple have to do with the U.S. Federal Reserve and the U.S. government? Today, I'm going to go ahead and look into the links between them. I'll give you all the information you need to decide if XRP and RLUSD really are the currencies of America. Let's talk about it ahead of time and get right to it. So Edward Farino writes that the Federal Reserve talks about Ripple's ability to make real-time payments across borders. This thing called XRP is a paper called The U.S. Path to Quicker Bills. The source for this was actually mentioned in the paper. This is what was being talked about. Ripple is a service that lets companies make real-time payments across borders. Most cross-border bills take a long time to settle these days because of limited exposure and status charges. With Ripple, you can see the state of payments, prices, and agreements in real time. Again, I think this changed around 2017. Yes, in July 2017. It says Federal Reserve task today, and this is the paper I'm looking at, just so you know. Ripple stepped up its speed for Go border openness. So after years of work, the Federal Reserve finally released its Faster Payments Project Force motion plan to make payments faster in the U.S. This shows how Ripple can support the next generation of prepare. In 2015, when the Federal Reserve realized that it wanted to raise interest rates, the project pressure grew by a generation. All right, let me show you. This is that record. Okay, that's the last paper, the first part of the direction. In fact, you could look through this. There is a great deal of data. As soon as possible, I need to quickly scroll down to the very bottom of this file where I think some interesting data are kept. But first, let me just go show you who was on this right here. Oh, and it has some records of which countries are switching to faster bills. After that, all of these groups are scared. Okay, so this is the task group roster for faster payments. Even though I know I've said this before, but a lot of new people are coming in, I believe it is important to talk about these issues. Therefore, I only want you to be aware of some of these organizations, banks, and businesses, because I have never seen such a well-known group of them all in one place. To let you know, we have many types of banks here. We cannot say for sure that there is a fee machine in America. Of course, you have Ripple, U.S. financial institution, Suncoast Credit Union, a number of credit unions, banks in this area, ACI Global, Big Ripple, and Accomplice. Okay, just so you know, there are a lot of Ripple friends on this list, and I think that's where it could have begun. But when it comes to CGI, I did a movie that showed how they make $20 to $21 trillion. Citibank, the biggest bank, is thought to be one of the biggest banks in the world. It beat out bank after bank, business after business, and corporation after corporation. But I only see one problem with this one blockchain tech group. IBM is now running Stellar. These links need to be made and brought up. That being said, you got JP Morgan and IRC warning it's a set. You know, why would you have invited the Blockchain Infrastructure Agency if you didn't want what they had to offer? For that reason, I thought this was definitely interesting. You have a Visa here. It looks like you also have MasterCard in this. What an amazing thing it is. That's right. You can also kind of cover right here, just so you know. You can go back to the Find page and click on Ripple again. Also, you know what? You pass Ripple, Ryan Zagoni. That's all I want to tell you. Okay, here you go. This will be sent out. He says that Ripple has worked with the Federal Reserve to keep records of home bills up to date. Even state banks, such as the Bank of England, the Federal Reserve, and the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, have worked with Ripple to make it easier for people to pay their bills faster. Not only has Ripple worked with the Federal Reserve, but they have also worked with the Bank of England and the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority to help them speed up their projects. That's really exciting, right? Because we talk about main financial institution digital Forex all the time. Yes, there are two parts to that as well. How do you explain that wholesale part that every bank has to have, right? That might mean move the line. The second part is the store menu. You know about the blockchain if you need to, but it's just run by the Federal Reserve and it's not too expensive, much less than Bitcoin. There are some problems with giving the responsibility to a third party. If you want to know what those problems are, read through EI. If you really think about it, you won't have needed the Fed to handle the bills. I mean, let's say you know that the Fed is likely to put some know your customer KYC restrictions on some sales. They won't go through with some purchases you might want to make. That's why I said what I said. Yes, you're right. We could, if we wanted to take the idea one step further. It's no longer my promise that that will ever happen. But just as an idea, you could imagine not having a Fed wire for all transactions, but rather having a Fed coin. The Fed could then issue these, Bitcoin-like things, but they would set up a pair exchange rate with the US dollar, which might stop the trade rate from going up and down. But they could give the job of paying those bills to a third party, some kind of Ripple-like system, or maybe even Bitcoin. In other words, we could give the miners the job of making those electronic Fed coin payments. And the idea there might be that, so actually, Trump, hold on, I'm trying to make a special picture that has to have these things in it. Look around, look around, look around. Okay, as you can see, when we talk about cryptocurrencies, it wouldn't have all of them, just XRP, how big, there are a few more. I think you already know that. Someone said Solana is our base. But out of all those tokens, right, there are two of them that I know work with central banks. Their names are HBAR and XRP. That's why I think you could have a machine, because the United States doesn't need a valuable bank digital foreign currency, or at the very least, the Trump government doesn't need a CBDC. If you go to these two companies and say, hey, we want to make a stable coin on your network for America, they will say yes. Or, as you already know, we want to make a certain kind of thing. It takes miles. I don't know if you understand, but these are the places of business they might go to, yes? It's clear that you have a 1 and E, 1 and 4 thread of